to thank
the NMRC.
Whether in cities or suburbs, housing is one of the most important needs of man. A home provides rest, warmth, comfort, and security. In Nigeria, there is still a huge gap between the ideal and the reality that stares us in the face. This is the result of many decades of failing to match infrastructural development with population growth, rising inflation rate, generally low incomes, and other macroeconomic challenges that make it almost impossible for a typical Nigerian worker to own a home. While mortgages are good, high interest rates and the inability of many Nigerians to afford short-term housing loans created a gap in the industry.
We started the journey of NMRC in 2014 when Goodluck Jonathan was president, and when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was the coordinating minister of the economy and also the minister of finance. And the whole idea of NMRC was to provide liquidity, to mortgages. At the time, the idea of lending somebody money for 20-25 years was incomprehensible. And that's the gap that NMRC has come to close. So NMRC finds it very easy to go to the market and raise 20-25 year money. And I think, since inception, and even the design of NMRC was to make sure that it was a sustainable company.
We took it up right from 2007. We started to work on the idea, working with the industry, such a way, including the World Bank. So we initially wanted to design a system of securitization that will make us to be able to access the capital market directly. But the framework for sectorization was not in place. The enabling law was not in place. And many of the data that we require were not clean. We have some data, but they were not so structured. So we just felt a middle way in order to solve, we diagnosed the risk. The liquidity risk was topping, okay, followed by credit risk, okay, followed by other risk in terms of housing value chain.
The Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company was established to help provide long-term liquidity that the mortgage sector needs in order to unlock scale for mortgage loans, reduce cost, enhance the capacity of mortgage lending banks and other mortgage lending institutions in order to provide affordable long-term mortgage loans to Nigerians.
NMRC obtained its operational license as a non-deposit taking financial institution from the Central Bank of Nigeria on February 18, 2015. A decade after, and the company seems to have evolved on its trajectory of growth and impact.
The journey so far has been one of measured growth, learning, and evolution. So we keep learning because the environment keeps changing and we keep evolving. And we're having some growth, but I said measured growth. We started with a core team and with a clear vision, of where we wanted to be, which is to be the dominant partner in housing in Nigeria. And we're on that journey, but we have not moved as fast as we thought we would move initially. Just because maybe we underappreciated the enormity of the challenges in the system. But I would say that we have gone very far. We are making good progress.
The company, Now headquartered in the heart of Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos has a clear mandate to make home ownership more affordable by providing long-term liquidity in the mortgage market. This is done by raising bonds in the capital market to provide mortgage and commercial banks with the liquidity they need for on-lending to Nigerians to build or buy their own home.
We were created to say, okay, how do you bridge that gap between the liquidity needs, long-term liquidity needs of the banks and individuals and the short-term deposits that they have, that mismatch. So we're created essentially to make long-term funding available to the market for mortgage lending.
In simple terms, a Nigerian mortgage or commercial bank can offer a Nigerian a mortgage loan to buy a home, but this loan has a short-term repayment term, often not exceeding 5 years, with interest rates currently above 28% in most cases. With NMRC's refinancing, mortgage terms become better, with lower interest rates and repayment period up to 15 to 20 years. Beyond making mortgage loans more affordable and accessible, NMRC has also worked to ensure a steady flow of liquidity into the mortgage market, equipping banks with the capacity to continually offer mortgage loans to Nigerians.
Apart from the government-run NHF, yeah, basic mortgages will run for like about averagely 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and that was not real mortgage. But NMRC, securitizing and providing bond, providing liquidity, yeah, you could do loans of up to 20 years. That is a welcome improvement in the industry.
One of the main pillars for life generally is that the desire for people to be able to house themselves, if I can use that phrase. And housing is very strategic in terms of general development of life, people generally, as well as communities. And Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company coming in to support the creation of mortgages to allow people achieve, part of those life goals that they have has been very, very, very encouraging over the last 10 years.
We still have a significant housing deficit, and the mortgage to GDP is quite low compared to other countries. NMRC's mission statement continues to remain very critical. We see NMRC's role as critical to the ecosystem. Its access to the domestic debt capital markets and its ability to issue these long-term bonds, thereby refinancing banks' balance sheet, is a very critical financial stability tool.
They have significantly impacted the industry by providing liquidity, yeah, and uniformism in mortgage underwriting. The uniform underwriting standard has sort of like created a level playing field for mortgage institutions. Before now, you had different playbooks by different institutions, but the underwriting standard has sort of like unified and commoditized mortgage underwriting.
That plug-in, which is essentially to be able to give long-term financing, is essential in any mortgage market. And I think NMRC has been designed to absolutely fit that role. Okay, so what is that telling you is that even where new, let me say, designs are made, you can see that NMRC some way finds itself plugged into that. So that means that it always and should always have a presence, and it, more or less like a straddle, it's almost like an in-between, between the mortgage market and the financial markets. All right. So the whole idea and the design of NMRC is basically it's able to tap the financial markets at any time. It's AAA rated, at least its program is AAA rated, and it can use that AAA rating to provide, cheapest possible in the market and also longest financing.
Evangelist Omigadu, look out the I'm a public servant. I'm one of the beneficiaries of Prince Court Estate, Kobakpe. I want to thank Mr. Governor, Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun, for giving us this opportunity. The estate built was also funded by the Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company, NMRC, through Gateway Mortgage Bank, and I'm part of those who benefited from it.
For Olukayode and his family, this is a dream come true considering what home ownership means for anyone.
No single civil servant can afford such, huge amount of money at once if you are not given mortgages. So by having access to funds provided by Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company, it is easy for every one of us, to subscribe and get this housing unit.
Another beneficiary living in the estate, Mrs. Bola Akintunde, brims with excitement as she shares her story.
I also want to thank the NMRC for the provision of funds through the Gateway Mortgage Bank to enable us to secure the loan in obtaining this, securing this place.
We want to thank Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company for investing in this project. And we all know there is a housing deficit in Nigeria, and for such a company coming into this project, a lot of low-level income earners were able to, acquire this property. So we want more of this, and we believe that more of these investments will come up sooner again as we look up to the NMRC company, Gateway Mortgage Bank, and Ogun State government.
Gateway Mortgage Bank, owned by Ogun State, is one of the partner mortgage banks of NMRC, working together to make home ownership affordable.
The impact has been so enormous. If I want to be talking particularly about Gateway Mortgage Bank, it has helped us to go to the length we wouldn't have gone to in housing delivery in Ogun State. Through NMRC, we've been able to finance many of the housing stock that we have in these states, especially those that are meant for, I won't call them low income, but the civil servants.
Like in many other parts of Nigeria, NMRC's impact in Ogun State is evident in the lives that have been touched through affordable home ownership.
If I can mention specifically, we have Kobakpe, Kings Court, Kobakpe Housing Estate. We have Idiaba, also the estate built there, which through Gateway Mortgage Bank, collaborating with NMRC, we are able to finance. The notable aspect of collaboration with NMRC, I've mentioned it just now, earlier on that. Well, aspect of it are: one, we're able to increase our balance sheet. Two, we're able to increase the turning out of, affordable houses in this state for those who require it. Three, the civil servants were able to have access to at least available fund for them to own their houses. And you can know in turn, it affects job availability in the state, As they were building, men are involved, bricklayers are involved, carpenters are involved, even up to what I said earlier on, that even those who are selling food.
Beyond the mortgage financing, NMRC has been deeply involved in policy advocacy over the years, conceptualizing, supporting, and driving initiatives and programs for the growth of the nation's mortgage market.
We have also brought innovation, working with other partners, not ourselves alone, with the central bank, with mortgage bankers, on mortgage lending, origination, the standards and all of that, just to make sure that we have a uniform way of doing things so that it becomes seamless and then more efficient. So we've been able to bring in standards, the uniform underwriting standards for different products, not just the conventional loans, which is the one you and I know, but even for non-interest, for diaspora and a few other things, So we've been able to improve standards. We've been also been very big on advocacy, and saying what are the issues that we are facing in the industry. Some that are facing us directly as an institution, some that face different segments or different portion of the value chain. We became an advocate for how do we solve them.
One of such is the Mortgage Administration Law, MAL, formerly called the Model Mortgage and Foreclosure Law. Among other things, this law seeks to ensure that mortgage administration becomes easier, faster, and cheaper for all players.
One of the biggest impediments to mortgages in Nigeria for mortgages to thrive well is the process it takes, the time it takes to perfect your documents, to get to register your documents and all of that. So we brought in a few lawyers, about 5 law firms, and said, can you develop a law for us that states can adopt so that it becomes codified in the laws of the state, and then they follow it through to make sure that these processes become faster and cheaper. And so a few states have adopted, about 5 states have adopted that law. We are working with Katsina as we speak now. We are working with Benue State and a few other states. More states are coming on board. So that will settle the issue of mortgage administration, how mortgages flow, the time it takes, the cost. And then also give confidence to investors, saying that, okay, if we bring money, we know there's a foreclosure process as well.
With some states still reluctant to adopt the law, NMRC's push stems from the fact that state governments will benefit more from the increase in volume of applications, speed of transmission, and the economic growth that emanates from documentation and titling. On the other hand, it will open up doors for increased investments in the industry.
Investors also want to be confident that once they give money out, they are confident that they need that comfort that once they give money out, their money will come back to them, and which is when you have a foreclosure clause also embedded in the administration of mortgages. Because people, if I know that if I borrow money from you, there's no consequence, I'm not likely to perform. But if I know there is consequence, I'm more likely to want to pay down on time and to want to make that. And the more comfortable investors are that people will pay, the more they pump in money into that. And the more they pump in money, the cheaper it becomes, even for those who want to get homes. So people should not seek foreclosure as something only for the benefit of the investors. Yes, it benefits investors in the sense that it gives them more comfort that there's a way out if something were to go south. But then it also reduces their risk, because the risk now is reduced. They also reduce the pricing, the amount they want to charge on that loan. So there's a benefit even for those who are taking the mortgages.
This push aligns with a broader vision of government through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, as the Minister, Architect Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, continues to call for continued advocacy to ensure more states come on board and benefit from the Mortgage Administration Law being driven by the company. This strong confidence in the structure positioning and capacity of NMRC was affirmed by the federal government when the managing director was recently appointed to co-chair the steering committee on the National Housing Data Center, aimed at creating a framework for data gathering channels from public and private institutions and designing a framework for distributing housing data to institutions and retail investors in the Nigerian financial market.
I'd like to say a very big thank you to our master.
Another area of impact is the annual Corporate Social Responsibility (CSR) program geared towards driving manpower development in the built environment.
I've been here for 10 years, 4 months and 8 days, and it has been a fantastic journey. So every year I coordinate the CSR projects. I've been doing that for the past 9 years. It feels good knowing that I interact with a lot of people. Like I said earlier on, handling the corporate social responsibility is a great part of my job. So I do the CSR, I do the strategy, I do the policy, I do the partnership. But for me, I would say the handling, being the coordinator of the corporate social responsibility for the past 9 years or 10 years plus is a big deal for me because we are really making an impact in the society.
The skill I acquired from NMRC, it has been a good one. It has really helped me a lot. So a good thing about it is we acquire it for free. It's the same thing I'm doing. I have like 4 boys now and I'm training them for free. I've not collected anything from anyone. I can say I'm doing fine because I have people under me that I'm training, that I'm taking care of, pay their fee and the rest.
I went to this training thinking that I'm wasting time, but for now, I'm benefiting, and as you can see, this is one of my jobs in Abuja here. I do travel to Benin, Lagos for the same job, and I have boys under me, no less than 3. So I have graduated almost, let me say, like last 2 months, I graduated about 2 people.
The housing challenge in Nigeria is enormous, and macroeconomic headwinds continue to bite hard, making it difficult to drive affordable housing delivery at scale. After 10 years, the consensus is that there is need for innovation.
The company had some challenges in lifting up to the expectation. Some of these one cannot be attributed directly to the management or the board of the company directly, because the company operates within a bigger economy. So there have been a lot of macroeconomic instability in Nigeria. In fact, during the time we set up the company, within the first 2 years, Nigerian economy ran into recession twice. So that was a bit of a challenge. So it takes you to think out of the box.
Mortgages thrive in environments where interest rates are very low, maybe below 10% and all of that. Rates in Nigeria, for many reasons, macroeconomic related, have been very high. And so it is difficult. People just find it expensive to get mortgages in Nigeria. So which is true, So, and if there are no mortgages, what do we, the number that we can refinance reduces. But that's a temporary challenge. It's not something that will be with us forever, So even though we have that limited amount of people that have been going for mortgages, we believe that things are changing for the better, which, for instance, the federal government now has started what is called MREIF, where they are trying to blend the cost in the capital market with some funding from themselves to reduce the cost of mortgages. So if that goes through, You understand? If that program works, more people will get mortgages because of that blended finance. And then they can also assist NMRC to also get some blended finance to be able to take out the mortgages that have been originated. So it is true that there are not enough mortgages, but it's not, and because there are not enough mortgages, there's also not enough to refinance. But I think we are working with government. We're also working on our own, talking to some international development finance organizations to see how we can get some funding that will reduce the cost.
There is a call for the company to become more active in the supply end of the housing value chain in a bid to beef up demand and have more control of the dynamics. Others suggest ways of getting more Nigerians interested in mortgages.
After 10 years of demonstrating what is possible, we hope that the next decade we should work more collectively as an ecosystem, understanding that the demand can only work if the supply is strong enough. And, the regulatory environment should also promote a good interest rate environment that can reduce cost of borrowing. And institutions need some flexibility to be able to address market failures. Through this collaborative approach, we believe that the vision statement for which institutions like NMRC were created can be achieved.
Part of what we also should be looking at as we go into the future is co-creating the stock of housing that is available. The gap in housing needs to be closed, and to close that gap, we need to do a lot, not just from in terms of not just from financing mortgages, but also developing the housing stock.
If you think of Nigeria, people buy homes all the time. They build, they buy, but generally speaking, always on flexi terms. If you think about it, so you deposit 6 months, they say, okay, over 24 months or whatever, you pay your house, which is a lot of strain. Now, what that tells me is Nigerians will prefer flexible payments to fixed payments. So if you go abroad, the bulk of their citizens work in formal environments, right? Earning monthly salaries. If you come to Nigeria, the bulk of our citizens are what? Entrepreneurs. They don't earn monthly salaries, but money comes in and out. So we have to find a way to create a mortgage system that works for our people.
Another option, as experts advise, is the need to initiate financing with the possibility of periodical rates review to deal with rising interest rates.
My solution will have been for them to design, yes, the inflation is high and the rates are high, but we've seen this in advanced countries, in Canada, in UK, some years back. All that you need to do is to design a bond that is permits you in the agreement to reprice 3 to 5 years. Every 3 to 5 years. You give mortgage facility, you refinance mortgage facility of 15, 20 years, but can be repriced between 3 to 5 years.
We believe critically that we also need to start addressing part of that supply chain, remove the barriers, even give some funding or facilitate some funding so that the supply can be there. And then when we are now giving money to the demand has something that is driving. Because if there's so much money on the demand side and there's no supply, that means too much money might be chasing too few supplies. We have done a couple of thousands of refinancing, not because we don't want to do more, but the problem, as I said, is because rates are extremely high now, just in the macro, people are reluctant or they think twice before they get mortgages. But what we tell them is, because the pricing of everything goes up, it's always better to buy the house, even when rates look unreasonable, so that you lock in that low cost of housing. And then you can maybe pay down faster your mortgage or have maybe joint ownership. There are a lot of ways now that people can be creative. But at least I think what they say in the industry is you buy and wait. You don't wait and buy.
Whatever the case, the NMRC has certainly established its relevance in the Nigerian housing and mortgage ecosystem, providing long-term financing for home ownership as well as engaging in policy development, housing sector analytics and advocacy as they strive to build a Nigeria where all who can dream can become homeowners.
Working in NMRC makes me feel like I'm part of a solution provider that is for the housing problem in Nigeria. So it gives me a sense of purpose, makes me feel like I am doing something greater than just working, which is I am helping people when it comes to housing problem, providing finances for housing.
The most memorable event for me is each year seeing the impact that the CSR is making on the young people that we train.
I'm really proud to have sailed with this company. It's a reference company in governance, in risk management and control. A company that continues to enjoy the privilege of not being sanctioned for any breach of laws, regulation and standard. A company that was able to attract even World Bank funding because of its reputation. That company is NMRC. I'm happy to congratulate them on this occasion.
I wish them well. They have, in terms of skill, in terms of personnel, people can drive, okay? They need not be afraid to test the market.
I would like to congratulate Kenny and his team for holding steadfast over the past decade, being consistent with the mission, and I wish them the very best over the next decade. So congrats to the team in terms of helping to shine the light on the challenges that affect the mortgage sector.
I can only wish NMRC the very best. I trust that they will continue to support the development of housing and the mortgage market in Nigeria.